Hi, Mike Case from D&B Audio Technique. Very glad to be in Barrowland. We've been in here, done a couple of shows Friday, Saturday night with the Twilight Sad, and looking forward to Groove Armada tomorrow night, Tuesday. We've been on a bit of a journey with this Soundscape system. I mean, for the company, we've been really working on this for more than 10 years, and started with the intention to build a system that really went further than a left-right stereo system, something that would really connect the audience better with the artist, and start working on something that was much more object-based mixing. And I think in that sort of journey, we've gradually sort of developed other ideas on space, reverb, augmented acoustics, and I think we're now entering the phase where we're starting to work with people to develop really much more, how would I say, tailor-made shows for the artists. The flexibility of the system and what you can do with the system is really becoming a creative tool now, not just a sound system reinforcement tool. And I think this is the exciting bit, having seen the two shows in Twilight Sad and just listened to a little bit of virtual soundcheck with Groove Armada. I mean, this is really turning into something quite special, I think. And the audience, we could see the audience response over the weekend was incredible.
I'm here with the first concert that I've done in D&B Soundscape, Immersive Audio. It's very exciting. It's feels like the next step forward, and the kind of the whole ecology of audio. Again, I've been working with the Soundscape on and off. Me and Mike have been trying to kind of get this thing to happen for a couple of years now. We recently were in Brixton Academy, where we did a kind of proof of concept in probably one of the trickiest rooms to get that set up in the UK, and it was great. It was exciting, and then so the way I work is I make a virtual sound check. So I record the band live onto Pro Tools. I play it back through the desks, and I use timecode to align all of the movements that I'm going to make in terms of the audio. So it's an ideal kind of workflow if I'm going to work in immersive, because obviously you have to coordinate the movements within the sound to match up with the music. And that also means that I've been sat in a room programming for 4 or 5 days with the band. So we record the performance to Pro Tools, we play it back, and then we can sit and work on all of the detail. But now we've taken it this kind of third dimension, where as well as it being just a nice mix and working on the details of the mix, now we can mix in 3 dimensions. So I have a kind of XY plane. I can have things spinning around the room. I can have things behind me. I can have things to the side, and it's really quite exciting. The possibilities are almost endless. And actually, that was one of the things that we found hardest to do was to not make everything spin around and jump about, and try to be kind of restrained and kind of respectful of the music. First time I came and mixed sound in Barrowland was probably more than 30 years ago. And the artist, there was no collaboration. The artist was on stage. There was no virtual sound check. We did a line check. We played the music. The artist would only hear how the mix was depending on what their girlfriend or their brother or their uncle said the sound was like, right? But now with the whole virtual sound check, for the 10 years or so, I've been sitting down with the artist and producing the live show as you would an album. But then, now that we've moved into Soundscape, we're mixing the show actually with a movie, actually. And so there's, as well as just kind of the mix, as well as making sure all of the music is heard and all the music is clear, we actually can generate emotions and interest with movement and placement. And one of the beautiful things about object-based audio is there's more space, because you're not cramming everything into a left and into a right. Each object has its own space within the mix. it's a reinvention. And yeah, I mean, the creative possibilities are incredible, and I've spent, the last little while thinking it through and not being like a kid in a toy shop and making every single thing come from everywhere all of the time.
My name's Jack. I work for D&B Audio Technic as part of the Education Application Support team, part of which is supporting production companies and production teams like we have this weekend and today to put on shows. And yeah, we're here at the Barrowland. There's two things there. So you touched on being immersed within the system, and something that we're doing with these soundscape designs is we're no longer putting up two sets of speakers and a left and a right and trying to capture the audience with both sets of speakers. And typically an audience member will either be in the coverage of one set of speaker or the other speaker. Now we're changing that design, and we're kind of putting more speakers around and trying to capture the whole audience with all the speakers. And what that does is a bit like what Robbie touched on, is we're able to kind of place sound in space in a different way and capture the audience in a way that means that sound is not necessarily just coming from one place near the stage, but it's coming either from the stage, which might be the brief or might be the design, or moving around you like that. And I think how does it enhance the experience for the audience? I think when that kind of creative drive from an artist marries up with how that sound is moving in space, those things can connect in a different way, a bit like what Robbie touched on, and it suddenly starts to make sense. Kind of a lot of what an artist might be doing typically, even thinking about kind of synths and the left-right panning in that, or a guitarist kind of creating feedback or lots of distortion as such. You're trying to create an emotion with that, and being able to play sound in space kind of acts a bit like an instrument like that as well, and you can now play with people inside that venue in a different way. And I think that's when the kind of magic happens, and for you as an audience member, hopefully you feel that as well.
Tuesday night, it's alright, it's okay, you ready? Steady now, lift it higher, fire, fuck it, entire empire, here we go!
The brief comes from the artist and the sound engineer, and we want to make the system work for them. So yeah, like you said, Twilight Sad was a different brief, but the system and the way that the system design is approached can still mean that you can achieve that. And with Groove Armada, again, it's different content, and it's a different brief again, with how Robbie wanted to approach the mix and such as well.
It's not the tool itself that's important, it's the opportunity that you have to work with that tool, right? So Soundscape is a more complex audio tool than just working with left-right, because essentially when you work with left-right, you have to mix mono, because if you stood inside in front of one speaker, that's all you're going to hear. But because of the way that the immersive audio works, you can hear all of the sounds from whatever space you're in the room. So you don't just hear the left-hand side of the mix when you sit on the left. You can hear all of the mix everywhere. So it's a tool that enables the sound designer to work with more accuracy and to more easily reflect the concepts that the artist has in an audio environment. So you're actually you're working as an architect within audio, right? You're constructing this environment, it almost becomes like a kind of audio world that you're visiting, right? You're not just listening to music, you're inside this whole kind of adventure, right? And the more imagination you have, the more exciting the adventure is, and we're just beginning to touch on it, and we're just beginning to learn the boundaries of what we can and can't do with it.
I think the applications for it are actually quite vast in terms of sort of size of rooms, outdoors, indoors. I think there's scope. Again, it comes back to that creative bit. I think this what do you want your show to sound like? You know, what do you want it to feel like? I think it's, you know, when I saw the audience over the weekend in here, this was quite an intense thing for them, and I think you could tell that this was something they'd never experienced before. And I think it also, although I think and hope it puts audio back into the center of the ring, and audio becomes something that's not just a requirement, you know, the left-right system, and something that people can really experience, you know, the sort of different flavors that we can give to people. I think, I hope it's also about combining, you know, audio and visual, and that, you know, with having this, you know, more expansive audio sonic offering, that lighting designers and video designers kind of come on board and start creating really like collaborative immersive experiences, you know. And I think tonight or tomorrow night it's going to be a little bit like that, looking at the show and thinking how this might work. So, but again, I think, you know, it's exciting because we're on this journey. We're really scratching the surface of what we can achieve with this, and I think the collaboration between creatives and what we can do in the future in terms of experience and audience experiences, you know, in many different areas, I think it's really exciting. It's truly exciting.